arm after the catch, and look at Drew Morgan go. He's able to find Morgan. He's free. He's in. It's perfectly thrown to Drew Morgan for the touchdown.
Play fake and a wide-open Morgan.
And it's Morgan, touchdown. Caught. Touchdown. Arkansas, Drew Morgan. Wide open in the middle of the end zone is Drew Morgan, touchdown.
This is Drew Morgan, and you're listening to The Morning Rush.
Hour number 3 of The Morning Rush coming at you, welcoming in our next guest, former Arkansas standout wide receiver, 14 career touchdowns, over 1,700 receiving yards, and now the new offensive coordinator at Warner High School in Oklahoma. Drew Morgan now joins us on The Morning Rush. Drew, good morning. Thanks for the time. You got a chance to play and coach under Rick Jones, legendary Greenwood coach. How important is that going to be for the future of your football coaching career?
Well, first off, man, good morning. How are you?
He just jumped right into it, didn't he?
Man, yeah, we did, didn't we? Hey, honestly, that's the best thing I could have ever done for myself. I was choose to go back to Greenwood and learn from the Hall of Fame coach, Rick Jones. Where he's at now, it shows that he deserves more, to be honest, from Missouri. I feel like he deserves more from Missouri.
Yeah.
I think he has done a great job building that culture up, keeping the culture, staying consistent with it, and that's one thing that I will definitely take with me to Warner.
Drew, you got a brother, Grant, who's on the team now, played at Greenwood. You guys have a good relationship. How often are you talking to Grant about football on a weekly basis?
That's one thing that we kind of, stay away from, just because we talk about all the time with our parents or, some friends or family members, always asking, how's football? Well, one thing that me and Grant really don't talk about is football, because that's one thing that we share, that we both understand. And we both kind of know how it goes inside. So it's just kind of, hey, let's just talk about something else or do something else. Or, but when we do talk about it, it's just like, hey, how are you? How are you feeling? How are you doing? How's your body feel? It's nothing, how you like Coach Pittman? Well, I mean, I played for Coach Pittman. Like, I know how he is. Like, there's nothing different. The guy's the same guy day in, day out. How's Barry Odom? Well, I played against Barry Odom. So I know he's a good coach. I know he knows how to shut down receivers and make people go crazy on the offensive side of the ball. So it's kind of we don't really talk about it, to be honest with you.
Drew, catch us up a little bit on what you've been going. I know you've had a lot going on. You've gotten married recently. And a lot of people may have lost touch with you when you left Arkansas. You spent some time working towards your NFL dreams. Came back, worked at Greenwood. I know you were at Fayetteville. Kind of catch your audience up on what you've been doing the last few years.
Yeah, so the last few years, obviously, it was definitely a growing period for me. My passion for the game of playing kind of fell away, and my want to play the game died out. My need to play for the game, obviously, I needed to play. I wanted to play. I mean, they're two different things. And I didn't want to play anymore. The business aspect of football just kind of got in the way of fun. And, that's no one else's fault than mine. I let it get in the way. And so I decided to take that knowledge that I learned not just only in the NFL and college, but also in high school, and take it to other, endeavors through life. And so last few years, I've been really trying to get into college. I was really trying hard to get a college GA opportunity. And the window for a GA is really short, especially right after you graduate and get out of the league. And from there, it was just one day at a time, contacting coaches, staying up on coaches, trying to hop on Zoom calls with them, trying to figure out, hey, what's the best move for me? And the window closed, and when no one comes knocking, you got to build yourself a door. So my opportunity that I'm trying to present for myself is hey, high school right now. That's what you got to focus on. I know one day some opportunity will come, and I'll take it. And the Lord's teaching me patience right now, and I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job at it. I decided to go coach at Greenwood right after the NFL, and we won our state championship, and that was an unbelievable experience. First year back with Rick Jones. I mean, kind of, right? You're expecting it. You go back to Greenwood, you expect to win a championship.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, okay. So we did that, and then I jumped up to Manziel High School and with Casey Dick and enjoyed that. Out of nowhere, I got an opportunity to be an OC, and I was like, I've got about 30 different playbooks. I could really just pick pieces out and see if it works. But no, I kind of developed my own little offense, and they loved it, and I'm actually on my way to work at the moment.
What's work look like? I mean, what is your goal? Do you want to be a high school head coach? Do you want to get into college coaching? What do you want to look up in 5 years from now and be doing?
Oh, I would love to be in college. I would love to be recruiting. It's something about the younger coaches being able to connect with the younger-minded athletes. That's one thing that I'm real big on when it comes to developing quarterbacks and developing receivers is when you're in the huddle and you're a sophomore and you're looking up to a senior, I can promise you right now, that senior probably doesn't trust you. Okay, you can trust that senior, but I can promise you he's not going to throw you the ball. The thing is, you've got to see on the same eye level as that quarterback. There's no, I'm in the huddle with Brandon Allen, per se. And Brandon Allen's definitely not looking at me saying, I'm in the huddle with Drew Morgan. No, it's, hey, man, we're in this huddle together, and we're going to go score together. And it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, what you can do, what you can't do. It's if you want to. Do you want to? Do you want to do that? Is it in your heart? It's the tangibles that you can't measure. It's the will. It's the want to. It's the dominating factor of I'm wearing a Razorback on my helmet, and this guy has just a ugly white number and an A for Alabama. So it's that's one thing that I have a big passion for is understanding the younger generations and millennials, Gen Z and Gen Y, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think that's just one thing I want to do is be in college and just give these guys a head up on the NFL, on what to expect and what not to expect.
We're speaking with former Razorback Drew Morgan here on the Morning Rush. Drew, you mentioned the 19 or so playbooks that you have in your possession, what you're going to use this upcoming season for Warner High School as the offensive coordinator. Is there a particular group of plays or a particular playbook that you think you're going to use more than the others over your time as a football player?
Yeah, I do. And that is Brent Bierman's offense at KU.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is Google it. It's nasty. It's awesome. Inside zone, outside zone, buck sweep, RPO. They run out of the spread. And too tight, too back, get a little F. And it honestly reminds me of whenever I was in Greenwood and we played the Alma Airedales, and they always had this big tank of a human, and he would line up at fullback, and they would be out of the pistol. And it was like, dude, like wherever he's going, that's where the ball's going. They're going to follow this guy. He's 6'3", 270 pounds, and he's a sophomore in high school. And they would just keep pounding it. And it was just exhausting. And I was like, this is an awesome playbook. I got to learn it. I got to know this position, yada, yada, yada. And then I got connected with Brent, who's the OC at KU. We've been in great contact, so he decided to kind of teach me a little bit about that. I grasped a hold of everything, and I have switched a little terminology and just not so much copycat league, but definitely don't want to copy it. So I definitely changed some stuff up to fit our athletes.
Drew, speaking of connections, I found it interesting that one of the connections you made at your time at the AAF at the Memphis Express was Johnny Manziel. How did that relationship form, and how did you guys become friends, an Aggie and a Razorback?
Oh, man, okay. We're going there. So Manziel pops in week 4, week 5. I was with the team all through camp. He wasn't. And basically, I got concussed. And they put me on IR. So for five weeks, I was on IR. And I think the week that he got there, I came back. And so they brought me back up, and I'm sitting there, and Johnny walks through the door, and the first thing that went through my head is, this freaking guy is like, he's a lot smaller than I thought he was. I was like, because the last time I saw him play was, it was Arkansas and A&M. A&M was at Arkansas, and all I heard was like a phone vibrating in my ear. I couldn't even listen to the play calls. It was so loud. And I was like, this freaking guy. I was like, I figured he'd be a little bit bigger, a little bit taller, a little bit better in shape. He's trying to get back to the NFL. And he came and sat down, and after the meeting, I went right up to him, and I was like, hey, what's up, man? I'm Drew. I played at Arkansas. Played here at Miami. Yada, yada, yada. You ain't got to introduce yourself to me. I know you are, but I just want you to know I need you to be throwing me the ball 90% of the game, and 100% of the time I'm going to catch it. So just trust me. And he goes, all right, sweet. A little swag to you. And I was like, no, I just got a chip on my shoulder, bro. I'm not trying to make $60,000 a year. I'm trying to make $60 million to get there to the NFL. Yada, yada, yada. He's like, oh, me too. So I kind of sold him on the whole, hey, just trust me type thing. And so we were going through practice left and right. I've got clips still on my phone. And it was honestly child's play. And yeah, it was terrible that I got concussed and I wasn't able to really go out there and perform. And a lot of coaching situations kind of messed up, but we never actually got to play a game together. And it was really upsetting because that next week, the league actually shut down, and Johnny was like, hey man, I'm going to rent an Airbnb for a week. You want to stay in Memphis with me? And I was like, well, I ain't got nothing else to do. The league shut down. We still just got paid. So yeah, of course. So you can only imagine what me and Johnny Manziel could get into in a week. We did that.
Did you guys stop by, Drew, did y'all stop by Rayford's down there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You mentioned the chip on your shoulder. Does that come from being the underside? I doubt you were ever the biggest wide receiver on any team you ever played on. You probably weren't the biggest. You weren't the fastest. Where does the chip on your shoulder come from?
I think the chip on my shoulder just comes from the idea of doubt. Even though I was younger, and when I was younger, a lot of people, my family were fans and they loved it. Like, Drew, you're going to be so good at football. Woo! They always built me up with a great amount of confidence. And then when I started getting into high school, it was just this aroma in the air, like, oh, we just another one of these Greenwood boys. But I'm going to tell you something. I was never a Greenwood boy before I was a Greenwood boy. I lived in Kansas, Texas. I lived in Lavaca, Arkansas. I've moved 20 times before I was even a Greenwood boy, in quotation. So, when it comes to the chip on my shoulder, that was built, it was forged by Greenwood. Coach Jones always said, you got to have that chip on your shoulder, Morgan, because we have a target on our back. And individually, to take down a target or to take care of a target, you have to have a chip on your shoulder. And everybody has to have their one chip. And so I was like, oh, okay. It was some deeper meaning that he knew of. And I'm sitting here like, okay, all right, so, we have a target. I have a chip. We all have a chip on our shoulder, and we have to keep that chip, and we have to play our tails off. And honestly, that chip has developed and made me an even better player. And I think it's just from all the doubt. Not to prove anybody wrong, but to prove to people who decided to be on my side or be on our side right. I wanted to prove them right. Like, hey, you chose the right side. You might be taking the road less traveled, but I can promise you, you're taking the right side. Yeah. So that's kind of where that comes from.
Ty and I were talking earlier in the show, and he brought up the term juice. That's one of your big deals. We were debating what is juice. So we got you here. You're always talking about the juice in the locker room, the juice in the huddle. What is the juice? Tell us what that means to you.
What is the juice? The juice, man. It's Brandon Burlsworth. It's that guy. when you think of juice, when you think of that, you think of positive energy. Brandon Burlsworth had the juice. He had that positive smile. He had that contagious, just aroma that he had. It was just, you wanted to be around that guy. And I stood up in front of the team one day, and I spoke about juice, and that's exactly what I said. It's Brandon Burlsworth. It's that guy, and not just trying to bring out like some history and all that kind of stuff, but when you think of juice and you think of cleaning juice up, what do you use? You use a towel, or you use a napkin, or you use a sponge. Well, guess what? The juice is positive and the sponge is negative. If you get a tub full of juice and you put a sponge in there, what's that sponge going to do? It's going to soak up as much as it can, but over time it's going to dissolve, it's going to sink, and then it's going to become liquid. It's going to become juice. Hopefully it doesn't mold. But that's kind of my theory of how to bring someone into a new culture, an influence, to bring a team together is positive energy. It doesn't have to be positive vibes, bro. No, it doesn't have to be that. It just has to be positive energy. And it doesn't have to be with your mouth. You don't have to just speak, bring the juice. You get a lot of guys in high school, a lot of guys in college, their freshman year, when they're young, when they're early, they're nervous to speak. Well, nowadays, all these young bucks are excited to speak out, all that kind of stuff. But when they get there, they'll get checked real hard, and they're like, okay, I've got to figure out how to use my platform as a body of encouragement for not just my fans, but also my teammates, because you have to think, not only are the fans watching you every second of the day on social, but your teammates are too. And when your fans aren't watching you, your teammates are still watching you because you're probably around them in the facility. So, juice is just positive energy. And it is a smile. It's doing something you don't want to do, but you need to do it. That's bringing the juice. I did not want to run 10 gassers the other day, but I wanted to bring the juice, man. I want to tell these kids, hey, this old man, after 2 years being out of the league, whatever, I can still run gassers. It ain't nothing. Now, let me tell you something. I went inside and I threw up. They didn't see that.
And there was the juice.
Yeah, there was the juice. Yeah. All in trash.
Drew, you mentioned overcoming adversity, having a chip on your shoulder. I know when you initially started as an Arkansas, you guys went 3-9 your freshman year, 7-6 sophomore, and then you guys got to 8-5 in 2015. It was hard initially at first because there was a lot of doubt, not only from fans, but just overall. How did you guys, and particularly you talk about the juice, how are you in that locker room able to get it to what was a pretty good season in 2015?
I think it was just, but when you rebuild a team, and I'm learning this right now, you don't have to necessarily weed out the bad apples. And I learned that as a player because the coaches were really singling out players on the team, and they were making them mad. They were frustrating them. They were getting them in a situation where they can't play. And when you see that as a player, you realize that your guy is not in the wrong, but your coach is. But how you go about doing that? Because at the end of the day, your coach is the one playing you. So, they weeded some out. They got some to transfer, got some to quit. But the ones they were really trying to get out, that's when the leaders started stepping up. The younger guys started becoming leaders and getting to know each other better. It was the camaraderie that we needed to work on, and learning of different people's abilities of taking coaching. Because if you're sitting there by one of your boys and he's getting MF, which that happened a lot with Bielema, but if you were sitting over there getting MF and you heard it and you did not know how that one teammate took that, you wouldn't care. You just like, oh, he's getting MF. And then you'd go on the next play. But whenever we started getting to know each other and understanding, like, hey, man, this guy comes from a different family. This guy comes from this side of the world, or, you know, just you start learning different religions, different cultures, different races, and different ethnicities. I mean, it's everything. And we dove into that. And guys would get MF, and I'd be right there saying, hey, man, dude, you're good. Just pick your head up. Don't worry about it. Because I knew that guy was from a little bit different of a family. He had 4 sisters. He was very, you know, he felt everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that was part of the reason why I was like, all right, you know, just because we're tough, big, bad athletes and play football does not mean we're all dogs and all crazy, mean men and you know, we're bad people, you know, scary people. Now, don't get me wrong, our offensive line was scary people. You don't want to mess with them. But everybody else was like, hey, you know, we're human too. And I feel like coaches get that wrong sometimes, is they belittle these college students that they recruited and talked so highly of, and now they're, you know, and they try and weed them out.
Yeah.
And that was just one thing that, you know, we really focused on as a team, was coming together.
Drew Morgan, former Arkansas Razorback, current offensive coordinator at Warner High School in Oklahoma. Drew, appreciate you making some time for us on the Morning Rush, man.
Yeah, thanks, brother. You guys have a good one.
Hey, thanks, Drew.